Good morning, boys and girls. Today's Day 3 ELA lesson, Nonfiction versus Fiction, is for all of the first graders at Bethune Elementary School. Our objective for today is to be able to explain major differences between books that tell stories and books that give information. Our I can statement reads, I can identify the difference between fiction and nonfiction texts. But first, let's review our anchor chart, fiction versus nonfiction. We know that fiction books are not real. They have characters. The stories are made up. They have a setting. A setting tells when and where the story takes place. It has a beginning, middle, and end, a problem and resolution, and illustrations. An example of a fiction book would be Goldilocks and the Three Bears. On the right side, we have nonfiction books. We know that nonfiction books are real and true. They give us information, teach us about the world. They have text features, including a heading, captions, page numbers, and real pictures. An example of a nonfiction book would be Bears and Their Dens. Now, boys and girls, on yesterday, we read a nonfiction text entitled Pigs, and we identified some of the various text features, such as the table of contents, photographs, a diagram, a glossary, and the index. Today, we will be reading a fiction book entitled The Four Little Pigs. As we're reading, I want you to be looking and listening for the different story elements in our fiction book today, such as the characters, the setting, the beginning, middle, and end of the story. The Four Little Pigs. Tom's Granny Mag is a bit unusual. She's a witch. Whenever Tom stays with her, something magical always happens. Oh, boys and girls, I see a key word, magical. This lets us know that this story is going to have magic. And we know that fiction books may have talking animals, magic, or mythical creatures. We also see that the story has characters. We see Tom and we see his Granny Mag. One night, Granny Mag read Tom a bedtime story. Once there were three little pigs, she began. I know that story, said Tom, and it's boring. And if you look at the picture, this illustration lets us know that this story is taking place inside of his grandmother's home. And it says the story takes place at nighttime. Granny Mag smiled. Let's make it more exciting, she said. Abracadabra, with this spell, you'll enter the tale you know so well. Tom landed beside three houses, one made of straw, one made of sticks, and one made of bricks. I'm a pig, Tom thought. I'm in the story. I must warn the three little pigs about the wolf. Oh, so we're at the beginning of the story. Tom was just cast into the story by his grandmother. And we know that this story is fiction because a person cannot have a real snout. Remember from yesterday, a snout is a pig's nose, not a person's. Let's continue. The pig in the straw house was making tea. The wolf is coming, Tom cried. Don't worry, said the pig. He can't get into my house. Suddenly, someone banged on the door. Little pig, let me in, the wolf shouted. No way, replied the little pig. Oh, we see another characteristic of a fiction story. The animals are talking because we said in fiction stories that the animals can talk. The pig is talking and the wolf is shouting, little pig, let me in. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in, roared the wolf. He breathed in. Just as Tom threw some pepper at him, achoo! Fine, the wolf spluttered. I'll get your brothers instead. Let's warn my brothers, cried the little pig, and they ran from the house. So the problem is the wolf is trying to get into the brothers' house, but Tom solved the problem by throwing pepper on the wolf, and that caused the wolf to sneeze. But the pig in the wood house didn't believe them. The wolf can't blow my house down, he said. Oh, yes, he can. But don't worry, said Tom. I've got a plan. The wolf decided to try being polite. He knocked gently on the door of the woodhouse and stepped inside. But Tom had put soap on the floor. The wolf slipped across the room. Whoosh! Tom and the little pigs ran to the brick house. The wolf followed them. Let me in, he howled. Or what? Tom asked. You'll blow the house in? Hey, that's my line, said the wolf. He huffed and puffed, but he couldn't blow the house down. The four little pigs were happy until they heard footsteps on the roof. Oh no, cried Tom, the chimney. The wolf crashed down the chimney. I'm not afraid of bullies like you, Tom shouted. The wolf looked fed up. I'm hungry and tired, he said. I'm going to Little Red Riding Hood's house. She makes great cookies. So, in the middle of the story, the wolf just kept trying and trying to get inside of each of the little pigs' homes. But at the end of the story, the wolf got fed up. He said, You know what? I'm hungry and I'm tired, and I'm going to go to Little Red Riding Hood's house. So this meant that the other little pigs could live happily ever after. It reads, as the wolf ran away, Tom turned to the little pigs. Now you can live happily ever after. He felt Granny Mag's magic swirl around him. The next moment, Tom was back in bed. So, was that boring? Asked Granny Mag. No, said Tom. Let's read Little Red Riding Hood tomorrow. I hear her cookies are great. Tom looked down at the book. Something had changed. I love having a wish for a grandma, said Tom. Good night, Granny Mag. The end. So, boys and girls, before we end today, let's do a quick review. Today, we learn about how to identify the different story elements in our fiction book entitled The Four Little Pigs. Some of those story elements included the characters, the setting, the beginning, middle, and end of the story. Now, boys and girls, I would like for you to click on the link below this video and fill out your Microsoft form to answer the questions about our story today and submit your form back to your teacher.